Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast, and your Chicago Cubs, drum roll please, are over the 500 mark. 9-5 win over the Pirates. Another big offensive night for the Cubs. Who saw it coming? Not me. Cubs are over 500 for the first time since May 28th when they were 28-27.
78 games that we said since they've been over 500.
Yes, and they have now scored 27 runs
78 days
in the last two games.
78 games.
78 games. What was your favorite part of the last 78 games?
Friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
And all the disappointment
and all
that
the riz
was given at the same time.
Shane Newbanks says, hashtag vibe with us. Best way to enjoy the CHGO experience is to subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page or check us out on Roku now. We're on the Roku channel, right there on the actual channel. All you have to do is search CHGO Sports. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera, Kevin Wells running the ones and twos tonight. And as you see, Mr. Delmendo, for the first time in what I can, this is probably 2 months.
It has to be.
I've done a few.
The beer bat chug the Blue Moon beer bat chug is back, folks.
I didn't know. I totally have done a couple.
Not on shows that I've paid attention to.
Well,
you were here.
It's definitely pre-All-Star break.
Like I said, not on shows that I've paid attention to.
I'd say give it 2 months.
You can go back and find them.
He did one when I was on the show one time.
See, you were on it. I wasn't here, though.
Yeah, it was one show. I don't remember.
Because it was banned.
It was banned until they got to either 500 or won a series. Or was it both?
What? It was banned until they got, I think they went 4-2 the last week. Going into the All-Star break, and I said that I would bring them back going into the second half, and then they started second half like bad,
right?
And so I didn't do any, and then they had a good week in which I said, or it then became I'm only going to do them for series wins,
and then it became 500.
Yeah. And now to your point, I did forget to do one after the Tigers series win, and then I forgot to record a video of myself doing it on Sunday. Or I guess it would have been Saturday, but I was also very intoxicated on Saturday night. So
you got to do 2 tonight then, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, because this team still ain't worth 2 in one show.
And he has to ride his bike home in the rain.
It's true.
Someone's going to be driving me home if this rain don't stop. For real. Like the bike has stayed here for an entire weekend before because, So someone's going to at least drive me to Lakeview.
Could let up. The Socks are.
You live in Lakeview, and so do you. One of you are going to be driving me to Lakeview.
Right. All I know is it's not going to be me.
Anyways,
so here it is.
Recharge.
For those of you who have forgotten how this works, when the beer touches Cody's lips, the stopwatch begins. Anything, what was the number? We had 10.25. Is it 10.25 and under is a quality chug?
I believe that is what the Twitter account has stated.
So we'll see. It's been a while, regardless, since you've had a lot of practice.
We can just find that Twitter account soon. The last time they tweeted out your times run, then we could figure out how long it's been.
Yeah, they probably closed the account by now.
No, it's still there.
It's still there.
It's still there.
All right.
So that's how this works. Go ahead and place your wagers. If you decide to play along at home, go ahead and tweet the video. Quality chug.
Shout out to Joey Spath.
Yeah, great job, Joey.
I swear, this team needs to be good, like 90-plus win good, so we can do that more often, like just so I can watch that.
It's a great video.
DFW Susie's calling 9.9. Yeah, send us your predictions or send us a video of you doing it yourself with a timer on if you think you can beat Delmendo on the Blue Moon Beer Bat Chug.
Okay.
Dedication, please.
Dedication, we'll give it Miguel Amaya, because I swear he's just Sammy Sosa really now. Good. You know, he's doing things that even Wilson Contreras didn't do with the bat right now. So, I'm not being petty, but I'm just stating the facts.
They haven't let Sammy back, but this is the next best thing.
There you go.
People are saying. So, yeah, I'll give it to Miguel Amaya.
Another good game.
Here it goes.
Here we go.
Kevin, you got the stopwatch on this?
I got the stopwatch. We're
All right,
ready.
here we go.
And there we go.
And it's underway. Delmendo so far is looking like he's been doing these all season long. We all know that's not true. He's already at 7 seconds. Can he get it down before 10.25? He's not going to make the quality chug, but I'll say 11.15. I'll give that a quality chug because of the layoff. Yes. That's like being on injured reserve.
You're on the IL for a while.
Yeah, that's you were on the 60-day IL, and now you just came back and you got 2 hits.
It's definitely happened in the last month. I'm just going to be...
Someone will research that.
Yeah. It's definitely happened sometime.
Very nicely done.
Good job.
Good to have it back.
It's just nice to win one, you know? Like, this is the form that I am in. They are 2-0 since I said the season was over. Maybe maybe in a week we can all give me credit for saying the season was over, so it ignited an 8-game winning streak. But whatever, man. 4 straight series wins, right? Blue Jays, Tigers, Marlins,
Pirates,
and now Pirates.
4 straight series wins.
But finally, a sweep is there for the taking again. Yeah. Got to take advantage of it. I just want to know where's this offense been all season? Where has this been? Where is Dansby and Seiya and Amaya? Like,
I feel like Seiya, he hasn't carried the offense like he did at points in like August, September last year. But I think he's generally been good, consistently good, except for obviously some stretches. But yeah, Dansby's someone that, I mean, we talked about like Miguel Amaya's struggles for so long. I think going into today, his slugging percentage, his WRC plus was above Dansby's, I'm pretty sure, on the year after Amaya's last 31 game stretch. So
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so Dansby's someone that they've needed to get going for a while. He's been hitting the ball better. The results are starting to come a little bit more this, especially in August. I think he's hitting like 270, which isn't amazing by any means, but it's hot, better than where he'd been. But then, like we talked about, I know PCA didn't have the best day, but he's been someone that's really helped lengthen out the lineup. Amaya, 2 for 4 tonight, 2 RBIs. He's helped lengthen out the lineup. Hap, whether he was hitting 5th for a while or leading off, I feel like he's also been pretty consistently good, except for like I think May was pretty bad for him. So yeah, those you have a couple guys that you feel like have been consistently good, but not like we're gonna carry this offense good, and that's why you saw so long where the offense was not doing well. But now it feels like those guys at the bottom of the order have picked it up themselves, and that's why you're seeing the offense just look overall better and in a healthier spot, because you have mostly 1 through 9, except for some guys have bad days, some guys are still have their slumps, but it feels like 1 through 9, any guy can or has been getting it done for this team for a while.
Normally I play Captain Buzzkill. Today it's James Colstock in the chat who says, we've been over this. Once the games don't matter, peeps start raking.
Well, I'll give some credit to Dansby in the fact that he's been a lot better since July. Go back to at least the All-Star break. So it hasn't just been like these 2 games. And I know there's some offers in there that are mixed in there, and there's probably some bad strikeouts in there or whatever, but he has been better over the last, I think you can, by the end of this week, you can say a full 2 months. So almost 2 months, I would say he's at least been what I need him to be. And I need Dansby Swanson to be a league average hitter while he provides his elite defense. That is what the Cubs need. That's what I said in the first half of the season. That's why I gave him, I think I gave him an F for the first half when we did the All-Star break, like grades. Like he was that bad at offensively. And I said, I believe when we did that show, I said, if he can do anything close to what he did that last week before the All-Star break, because, they swept the Orioles and then they split with the Cardinals, and they played well that week, and you were kind of like, oh, wow, finally this team looks like what we thought we would see. Yeah. And Dansby was a big part of the offense that week. And I feel like since that week, at least, his offense overall has been at least right around league average. And you'd have to look those numbers up, but I'm willing to bet that he's at least a league average hitter since then.
Yeah. Well, so
Godfather says everybody gets an A.
Godfather.
I literally just said that I gave him an F for the first half of the year, Godfather. What do you want me to say, brother? What do you want me to say, man?
So Dansby's day today, 1 for 2, 2 walks, obviously the home run, 3 RBIs, 2 runs. With today mixed in, just looking at just his August numbers, he's hitting 270 with a 769 OPS. I mean, we know Dansby's not going to be this otherworldly hitter. Like he was brought in to be a Gold Glove defensive shortstop who, you would expect to be at least over league average. Like you look at WRC plus, like a 108 to 110. It's like, okay, you could deal with that because he is such a good defensive shortstop. So those are solid numbers for him for a month. It's only a month, right?
Yeah.
It's the month of August. August is obviously not even over yet. So it's not like this has like saved his season. I think it has still been a disappointing season for him offensively, but this is a solid extended stretch of baseball where, yeah, he may have his offers in there, but it feels like he's been more consistently hitting the ball. And again, just as far as lengthening the lineup, he's been hitting 7th a lot in the lineup. So having him there and hitting the ball well, that helps everyone ahead of him too, and everyone behind him, obviously.
Miguel Amaya has been blistering hot. He is 6 for 9 in this series, the first 2 games with 6 RBI, 2 runs scored. Seiya kind of lost in the shuffle because Amaya has been so good, and Dansby's had the great couple of nights. 6 for 10, 3 RBI, scored 5 runs in just 2 games. Again, it's just a lot of guys who you hoped were going to take the next step all season, and you're seeing what a difference it can make if a couple of them make that next step in just a small sample size of 2 games.
Yeah. And I know a lot of fans will probably look at it, it's like, oh, you haven't been playing good teams. Well, while that I think is true, it also would look bad if they weren't doing this against bad teams too. So I think you have to find some sort of balance. And also the Pirates were ahead of the Cubs for a large part of the season in the division. They had a 10-game losing streak here in the second half of the year that has put them, towards the bottom of the division now. And, to me, they're still a decent team in terms of at least being competitive. So what they've been able to do, especially off tonight's starter, Jared Jones, who I think is really good. And before he got hurt, going into July, he had already pitched against the Cubs earlier this year, and he pitched really well against them. So
that's someone you feel like is going to be a pretty tough matchup for the Cubs for however long to come.
Everyone talks about Skeens, but Jared Jones ain't bad either. So, I give the Cubs offense tonight some credit for scoring early, or at least maybe they didn't score in the first inning, but they scored, the first 5 innings, and they had that 5-run inning when they were down 2-0 behind Seiya and Dansby hitting those homers. Like you always say, Luke, team, when you hit the long ball, like that's when it feels like the Cubs win games because they hit the long ball, and this team just hasn't consistently been able to do that enough this year, and that's why they're only 1 game above 500. So, in general, though, it's just you are seeing what Ryan said, all across the lineup. Nico had a huge, I think it was ruled a double, but he ended up at third base because they threw home in that same inning. That drove in whoever. I think it was Paredes, and that Paredes he would have been out at home if Davis catches lightning. The ball. yeah. But I've been very critical of Nico this year too, and I would say in the second half of the season he's at least been better offensively. It's still the overall season numbers still aren't where I want them to be, but I'll give him some credit. For the second half of the season, he's been a lot better offensively, but
he's been great on the base paths.
Yeah.
I think that's where the Cubs are really doing a lot better is they're manufacturing more runs because they're stealing a lot of bases, and they're playing more like a Craig Counsell team. Mm-hmm. Craig Counsell did this all the time with his team in Milwaukee. I mean, they steal a lot of bases, and they've been great on the base paths. And Pete Crow-Armstrong and Nico and Belly have really – you're right, the slug in the offense hasn't been there from Nico, but when he's on, I mean – he's looking to steal, and he hasn't been thrown out a lot, and that helps with 2 outs, and that's where I think the biggest jump has been offensively.
Yeah,
we will talk about the home runs and stuff coming up here in just a second and how that impacts the Cubs offense, and we've mentioned it before, and we'll also talk about the report from Jeff Passan with the very first update on the Juan Soto sweepstakes and where your Chicago Cubs may fall in that. But first, we're going to tell you about some of our sponsors. When I'm buying tickets for anything, I'm using Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Right now, tonight, while we were watching the game, Ryan was getting his tickets ready, looking for the best deals on CHGO. Who doesn't love some good EDM? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're a huge EDM guy.
Kevin Wells running the ones and twos. He was in on Smashing Pumpkins and Green Day in Milwaukee.
They were so good. Well, I saw them in Chicago. They're so good.
So you went back to back.
I went back, yeah. They were
You
so
went
good.
Wrigley, then you went Milwaukee.
And
of course,
I used Game Time.
And of course, you
Both
went
times.
Game Time. Yeah.
I know some people who went to Creed, Tinley Park.
Creed.
Use Game Time, obviously.
They definitely use Game Time.
Remember when you used to sing Creed on this podcast? Anyways,
I do
Pearl
it every
Jam's
day
coming
if
up.
you guys want me to.
Not yet. Let's see if they sweep tomorrow. Then that would be the difference.
When they sweep, we sing Creed.
We've seen our buddy Corey out on social media getting very excited that Pearl Jam's in town.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited. He's been going out and buying the pop-up store shirts and merch. He's ready to go. You know where he's getting his tickets? Game Time. You better believe it. If you're going to any of our Friday 120 clubs that are left in the season, Game Time's the place to do it. You can check out the seat view you buy, the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy the ticket, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. The lowest price thing, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time's ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem with the code, spell it out for me, CHGO, $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. By the way, we got all the Bears tailgates coming up. What you do is you buy the package for the tailgates, and maybe you don't go to all the games, but the ones where you see the best deals right before the game on Game Time, boom, that's where you get your best deals.
I paid $50 to see Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins in Milwaukee per ticket.
That's
day,
really
day
good
of.
deal.
That's
pretty
day of.
good.
I was driving up there and they dropped
good.
to 50. There's no better deal.
Oh,
Seriously,
Shout out
it's
to
amazing.
Game Time.
Shout out Game Time.
Stay off the escalator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, tell that to Braggs.
Take the stairs.
That was funny, man.
God dang it, Luke. Speaking of escalators, you don't use escalators while you're on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. With over 5 million active members, Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. All right? Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. So again, $50 instantly when you just play $5. If you sign up today, you don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. You can be as dumb as I am and get that $50 bonus back.
Guaranteed.
All right? There's going to be a prop on there. Bear season starts soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams passing yard. Just to throw one passing yard against the Titans. Or I think it's the entire month of September, actually. It'll get you one win on Prize Picks every week in September. So, yes, the entire month of September.
It's an easy win.
Yeah. Exactly. It's an easy win that's part of your entry. Just throw it in there, right? There's so many things you can do on Prize Picks moving forward because college football starts Thursday. The NFL's coming back. You still have baseball, So it's a perfect time to get on Prize Picks.
Bennett Chase here in Chicago.
And you still got, if you're like me and really like to put anything Angel Reese rebounds in there, a little WNBA action too. And she's been on a tear. She got like multiple 20 rebound games since they got back from, since the WNBA started back up, since the Olympics ended. So plenty of fun things you can do on Prize Picks all together. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CHGO. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CHGO on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus, folks. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. That's such a great deal, man. $50? Just put $5?
Free cash, basically.
Guaranteed.
Oh, man.
Cost money.
Oh, yeah. Prize Picks, run your game, brother.
That was ad-libbed. The brother part was ad-libbed. The Hulk Hogan add-on was definitely ad-libbed.
If only they added the brother part.
Brother.
That was totally
by the way, we should have known that the Cubs were going to win tonight because I saw on the live YouTube chat, which is the best way to enjoy what we do, that Becky got her toes done today. So that's good luck right there. But
awesome.
Dansby Swanson provided the power for tonight's game on his birthday, presented by the Illinois pork producers. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. Back-to-back games with a homer. Dansby, 2 for 5, 7 RBI, 4 runs scored, 2 homers, and 3 walks in these first 2 games of the series. It leads us to a couple of things. One, I want to know if you think this has to do with Dansby finally getting healthy, or is it just he's just had a couple of good games here.
Well, first off, can you
This is mom's birthday.
I was say I thought it was his mom's birthday.
Excuse me, his mom's birthday.
Thank you.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
What is her name? Nancy?
Nancy, I believe.
Happy birthday, Nance. When the Cubs hit 2 or more homers in a game, they are 30-7. When they hit at least 1 home run, this is unbelievable, 56-32. And when they score 4 or more runs, they are 55-17. What does it mean? Like I've been saying, hit home runs. That's the way you score runs in baseball today. Everybody says, what about old school, station to station? That's great on days when the wind's blowing in. Got to have it. Got to have a mixture of everything. But the balance of the game has gone to home runs, and the Cubs don't hit enough of them.
It's the easiest way to put runs up.
I feel.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. They don't have a lot of home run hitters.
It's okay if you strike out twice if you hit a home run.
I feel so much more justified about how I said that. Yes, the bullpen hasn't been good, but this offense can't score runs. Every show that we said in May and June.
I think we all said that.
We all did, but many people in the YouTube chat yelled at us for not shitting on the bullpen more.
And I think,
and I feel like
we kept
some
saying
of it
great.
was.
It is a problem. They don't have a closer.
I think we acknowledged that it was a problem, but also like how many games did the Cubs lose 2-1 or 3-1 or 3-2 or something like that?
Too many 1-run games.
Yes,
it's always come down to the offense because like when the offense was just consistently struggling for so long, your starting pitching either had to be perfect or your bullpen had to be perfect or both. Like, what was the stat you gave, Luke? Scoring 4 or more, 55-17?
55-17.
Like, 4 runs. It's not like they're needing to score 7. It's 4 runs and they're 55-17.
Shouldn't be that difficult.
No. So, it always did come down to the offense. And so, again, when we talk, Dansby is the pork power player of the game. Like, he's been doing really well in August. And we said Seiya, too. Obviously, Seiya homered as well. I was actually looking at, like, his month-to-month stats, and, like, he was doing really well before he got hurt in April. Came back about a month later, struggled in May. They were, like, about 2/3 of May. June was a pretty good month for him, 850 OPS. July, I can't do the math quickly in my head, but it's an over 900 OPS, and then August it's over 900 again. He has a 134 WRC plus, which right now is 19th in baseball among qualified hitters. Like Seiya Suzuki's been a really good hitter for this whole year, basically, except for a few weeks stretch there in May and maybe beginning of June. So whether it's Seiya and or Dansby and or Miguel Amaya and or Ian Happ, like the more guys, like I think when we looked at it, when the offense was doing so bad, and even like Craig Counsell acknowledged it, Jed Hoyer acknowledged it, like it felt like a lot of the guys were just struggling at the exact same time. Like it felt like you may have had one guy that was hitting well and everyone else was cold for like May and June, basically. Now you have a bunch more guys who are actually hitting the ball well at the same time. Feels like you got at least half your lineup, if not more, hitting the ball well at the same time. Then you see why the offense has been better in the last month and a half, 2 months.
No, I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, if you had to give the offense a grade for the season, it wouldn't be a passing grade. No matter what individual stats you have for some guys that look pretty good.
As a team,
if you put it together and you put the lineup out there and say, what was this offense? And I don't care what. I believe that they were slightly fooled by, what were they, 6th in baseball in runs scored last year?
Yep.
Jed talked about it in the season wrap-up, and he talked about it again, early in the spring training. It's like, okay, Also, Craig Counsell said just because something happened the year before doesn't mean it's going to happen this year. And I think they got a little bit fooled about the makeup of the offense.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
I made a little too much faith based on how well they did last year. I also don't think, like, when hitting the panic button in May and June, obviously it was too long of a stretch for them to be as bad as they were, but I didn't think they were the 28th, like the third worst offense in baseball, which they were for a good chunk of the season. Like, I think this looks more like what we expected out of the offense this year. The issue is that it was just so long where they were a lot worse than this that they put themselves into a big hole.
Well, I think and there's no way you can measure that things would go different with this, but I mean, I'm not alone in this when I say that just when this team had injuries or when this team didn't have some of their key guys that were out because they were hurt or also struggling, is like they were not aggressive with trying to fix that. And I won't even just mention prospects, but like, I don't know, Luis Arias got traded in May? Like I don't know if he would have changed anything. And I'm not even saying that I wanted them to get him, but like I'm just saying that when you talk about the 2 bad months this team was on offense, I think we can all sit here and confidently say that they put all their chips in on the guys who started on opening day, and they weren't going to be aggressive with any of their top prospects. And that's fine. If it works out next year and those guys come up and they, the development is there or whatever, great. Or if they, whatever situation you're in, fine, whatever. I guess we can let it pass. But when you go into a year like this, when you have expectations to be a playoff team and your projection win total is 83 to 85 games and your core pieces aren't performing well, like a Dansby, like Bellinger, even though he's been fine, but also not slugging like they paid him to, basically. And, Horner he hasn't been nearly as good as the last 2 years, let alone last year. Like when pieces part of your quote unquote core of this team aren't performing and you aren't doing anything to try and jumpstart the offense, then like it's just kind of telling to me that you really just didn't plan on trying any harder than you had to try and get things going during that time period. And all I'm saying, because I have all offseason to bitch and complain about it some more, is that you got to make this team you have to get them up to 90 win projection for 2025. That's what they have to do. And I don't know how they're going to do it at this point. They have a lot of things to talk about and try and figure out and trades that need to be made, to be completely honest. And we'll see.
Juan Soto.
Yeah,
we want so
like there's a lot of things.
Work to do.
There's a lot of work to do.
A slugger gets you 5 more wins.
Yeah, well, yeah, like an
there you go.
otherworldly hitter like Juan Soto.
I mean, even having a closer, and and that's even another thing too. Like I know we all sat here and we're okay with the fact that they went with ALLCITY, and I've said this too many times at this point, but like the fact that they didn't really have a backup plan. Hector Neris was your backup plan? Like, I don't know, man.
I will say, as a backup plan, I would not have expected going into the year that it was as nerve-wracking as it ended up being when Neris had to step in.
Yeah.
Like, he was coming off a couple of really good seasons with the Astros, right? Like,
sure.
I would have expected that, like, had Adbert not been able to, had he, his season gone the way he had, I thought maybe Hector Neris can step in and at least fill in. It doesn't. Maybe if it's more of a committee, whatever. But like, would have expected it to go better than it actually did. Yeah. I can't say I would have foreseen this coming with Adbert. Like,
I will agree definitely with one thing Cody was alluding to a couple minutes ago was just I do believe the Cubs have been a little slow to react a few times. Whether that is in trades, whether that is in free agency, or whether that is in just dealing with the guys on the own team when something's not working. Maybe you just want to call it patience. That's okay. But I think they've been overly patient with some things. And yes, they've probably been overly patient with some prospects. But if you're counting on prospects, just remember, look at PCA. It doesn't happen right away. And you may get a whole season of guys going through that same process again next year. One thing you can count on. Shop Ray Chevrolet and secure the right new Chevy and price for you. That's because their new car clearance event is going on all month long, and you can shop their huge selection of new Chevy models now at new low prices. Visit our partner this August, few days left, at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you're always able to shop one of the Chicagoland area's largest Chevy inventories. Right now, get 0% financing, make 0 payments until 2025, put $0 down, and find 0 hidden fees, all on the new Chevrolet models. Or cruise into August your own way and shop over 125 of their vehicles that are currently priced under $20,000. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you certainly know about the Ray Price Promise. That's their guarantee to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever, with no price changing, no add-ons, no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices we're talking about right here on the CHGO Cubs podcast. You can expect to see the very same prices when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. Shop the new car clearance event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
I got to tell you guys about FOCO. We've been partnered with FOCO for a while. We always talk about them. We have set decorations and all around the office from FOCO.
Overalls.
And I need to tell you about FOCO. Get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. I do think the Matt Schwarmer bobblehead is still on FOCO. I think
that's incredible.
I think it is, and I would think we should get it for the set, just because.
Imagine the vibe you could have with a new Chevy from Ray Chevy and the Schwarmer bobblehead super glued to the dash of that car.
Oh, yeah. Vibes.
Wearing your overalls from FOCO.
Yeah, wearing your overalls.
You'll never lose a day in your life.
Straight.
The rest of the day.
You wanted to define the word Riz. There it is.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, are you going to any basketball games, hockey games, baseball games, football games coming up? Yeah. Show off your love with team-branded friendship bracelets, whether it is jackets, beachwear, or even overalls. There's something for fans for almost every occasion. Again, I mentioned the set decorations. FOCO has donated a few awesome pieces for our sets, so go show them some love. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off. Again, that's FOCO.com or click the link in the description below.
We haven't talked about Justin Steele, but
that was weird in the third inning when.
Yeah, whatever the sticky stuff was.
I thought he was getting ejected from the game.
When we were reading the ads, I was scrolling the Twitter machine and they asked Counsell about it, and apparently he had rosin on his non-pitching hand. Gotcha. And they just asked him to clean it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
on his right hand.
He said after that, just no big deal after that. So
it looked like Jones had the same thing. Marquis panned him a couple times, drying off his arm. I don't know how hot it was in Pittsburgh, but from Justin Steele's arms and Jones' arms, they were really soaked. That could have been why.
Yeah, and we know like the rosin sweat mixture obviously gets a little tackier, so maybe that affected it if he was sweating a lot and had a little rosin on the other hand.
Certainly what it looked like.
Did we have a super chat that we missed earlier in the show as well? I think we have one super chat
from BT Gold.
BT Gold 342 says, "Don't worry, Luke. I'm never closing that Twitter account down, no matter how much the Cubs lose." Referring to
this must be
the Cody Chug,
the Twitter account. Yeah, the Cody Chug.
Hey, thanks for the $4.99.
I hope
we'll put that in the SoDo fund.
You know, how about BT Gold just puts in the chat when the last time Cody's beer bet was, just so we can confirm.
He did. I'm looking at the account now just because he did tweet at us, and he said this was on August 10th. Crosstown sweep, quality chug, new season record. Cody got an 8.79 second, roughly, chug tonight. I think that's the one that I did from my apartment.
Gotcha.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But Steele, that whole thing was weird, and obviously, like, he came back out, so whatever.
It was wild, though.
It felt like it wasn't his best today.
I thought he was thrown out of the game because he left the field. I didn't know he was coming back.
Just going to wash his hand off.
The way he walked off the field and his facial expression.
And we had the audio turned down a little bit, too.
So we didn't know what was going on. No, but yeah, I don't think it was his best 5 innings. But he did, he gave up those 2 runs in the bottom of the first. It felt like he was able to settle down, start getting obviously the Pirates out, keep them off the board the rest of the time he was in there. And then, that 4th and 5th inning, the Cubs give him 9 runs. So he gets through 5 with a 9-2 lead. I think that obviously helps a pitcher. You give him some run support, give him a little cushion. I know Jameson Tyone talks about that a lot when they do score a good amount of runs for him, give him a little bit of cushion. He feels like he can attack a little more. He doesn't have to be like careful with his pitches on like a 2-1 count or a 3-1 count. He feels like he can attack a little bit more. So that probably plays into it. But I do think, again, not the best Justin Steele we've seen, but the ability to kind of lock back in, settle down, keep them off the board the rest of the time he was out there. It was a fine outing for him. It wasn't his best, it wasn't his worst. Obviously,
They got 9 runs for him.
Yeah, it was good enough. It was good enough to give them a big lead that they didn't blow at the end of the game.
I think JD said it too. Like,
you have 2 runs.
The whole thing with the rosin on the arm, like, fine, tell him to wipe it off. It was good. He wasn't thrown out of the game or anything silly like that. That wouldn't be, if he was using sticky stuff, he wouldn't openly slather it on his forearm. His other forearm, you would hide it in the glove or somewhere in the hat or so. You know what?
Yeah.
You wouldn't just roll pine tar on your arms and be like, oh, I hope they don't notice me going like this before every pitch.
Right. Yeah. The whole entire moment reminded me, I want to say it was last season with Max Scherzer. And he got thrown out of a game because
he was furious.
And I remember him being very upset. And that was the only difference about him Steele walking to the dugout compared to Scherzer, because Scherzer was, from my memory, I believe he was arguing with the umpire. He went to wash his hands, comes back, and then there's more arguing, and then he gets thrown out. And so it's just like, I don't know.
Part of it was he was yelling, "Don't you know I'm from effing Mizzou?" over and over. Finally, the umpire couldn't take it.
Don't blame him for that.
Max Scherzer is like at the forefront of these conversations too, with the players' union and because he's like the main guy. Scherzer's like one of those guys that call in when they're like, "Hey, we need someone to come in and we're negotiating rule." He's at the forefront of a lot of that, so I think he felt as though, "Hey, I'm negotiating these rules. What the hell? Like I'm not cheating, but maybe he was." Did he take his belt off? Right, hand it to him?
He did.
Yeah.
I remember. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, Mad Max, man. Mizzou legend. MIZ.
His eyes creep me out.
No, his eyes are cool.
So Jeff Passan has our first Juan Soto sweepstakes update that I can remember so far this season.
At the end of August, let's go.
Here we are.
Already.
Well, he knows that everybody's dreaming about Soto. You see him. He's got a career high already, 37 home runs. He just turned 26, and he's going to be a free agent. He's already turned down 15 years, $440 million from the Nationals. Now he's sitting there with the Yankees. I don't know how you're going to get him out of New York, but Passan says the Yankees and Mets, the 2 favorites. He also said Red Sox, Dodgers, Angels, and drum roll, please, Cubs would have the money.
I mean, that's obvious.
Thanks.
That part is just that, water is wet.
That's right. That's right. We know they've got the money. The question is, will they use that money? We were just talking about top 5 players in baseball. We were making a list, and I was just like, listen, we know Ohtani's won. You know Soto's won. You know Judge has won. At least 3 of the top 5 players in baseball are all going to have been available in some way, shape, or form in the last 5 years. Will the Cubs get any of them? And if you want to go back and say Bryce Harper's in that top 5, okay. You have the best players in baseball. The Chicago Cubs should be all in on one of those, if not all of those guys at some point.
Yeah.
Don't forget, too, Mookie Betts was available in a trade, too.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah, I mean.
For that matter, Yelich when he was available.
Yeah. Good point.
I was saying to trade for Soto 2 years ago and give up whatever you have to do to get him.
Credit to you.
I think if they wanted to be the highest bidder for him, they should be, right? They have the financial flexibility. They have
been saving up.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been going over the luxury tax and could potentially get back down this season. Possibly they may try to maneuver it somehow and get underneath, whatever. They got a lot of money coming off the books, potentially more, depending on Bellinger. they have the ability to do it. And this is a guy that's like, he's 25. He doesn't turn 26 till October, so you're getting him to start his age 26 season. He is already an otherworldly hitter who is on an easy Hall of Fame path. Like, this should be a guy that if you're ever going to give a massive contract like that too, it's him.
If you're ever going to go over $500 million, this is the guy.
This is the guy, and especially considering his age, right? If he's 29, 30, maybe you're thinking a little differently. Kevin's pulling up his baseball savant page.
It's like all red.
It's all red. It's all red.
And even his defense, like
That's
it's
good.
not even like he's not known for defense, but like his defense
He doesn't
outs above
have to
average.
be a DH.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm just.
But if he is, okay.
His
100th.
outs above average is 0,
He's
so
like
he's not even like
average.
he's an average outfielder.
Yeah.
But so like, if you're ever gonna do that, a guy, he's not 29, he's not 30, going past that age, like you're getting him for basically, he's already been prime since he was 19, but basically the beginning of his athletic prime. Like, this is the guy that you should be willing to give that contract to. Not that I expect the Cubs to do that. I don't. I don't sit here and say that they're going to be, they're absolutely going to be in on Juan Soto this offseason. I'd probably have to see it before I believe it. But like
me too. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy. Like, this is the kind of guy the Cubs, as the third biggest market. Again, a team with just a lot of financial flexibility moving forward. It's the guy you should want to give that big contract to, and it always runs. Jed said it before, like any contract of some magnitude is going to run risk, right? You may run a risk, and it may not work out for you, but again, if you're going to do it, like you should be willing to do it for a guy like Juan Soto.
And the value probably won't be there at the end. And you may have to be creative. You may have to throw $500 million in. You may have to do something creative like defer, just like Ohtani kind of showed people the way. And okay, fine, whatever. I'm telling you, give him part ownership of Hotel Zachary. I don't care what it is. Right? Give him the Stan's Donuts too. Whatever.
Yeah. How much does Juan Soto mask in this Cubs lineup right now? How many of the mistakes and the discrepancies, whatever adjective you want to use for how this team is playing, how much does he mask?
I don't think that
he gives you a hitter you fear.
I don't think that long man June happened if he's in this lineup.
I agree,
100%.
Year.
Just put.
They're 20 games over with him in the lineup.
Put whatever he did on whatever.
That's a lot of wins.
Put whatever he did on any
wins.
singular day.
It's a lot of wins.
What, he hits third or fourth in the Yankees lineup behind Judge? Put him in Morel's spot for the first 3.5 months. And as a Morel supporter, as a guy who defended Morel, just considering he didn't perform this year, if you put Juan Soto, just even the results that he's done on all those days that Morel hit fourth for the first 3.5 months of the season, the Cubs probably have at least 10 more wins. So, I mean, I'm not ready to talk about this all offseason.
We're only responding to the passing article. Now, I could talk about it every day, but I see everybody saying it's not going to happen. I agree with you. It's not going to happen. But I will again.
It's not okay that it's not. It's not
That's
okay.
correct.
It's not okay that I'm sitting here and I'm rolling my eyes and
we
I'm
know
just like,
it's a pipe dream.
and I know it's a pipe dream because what Passon said is correct. The Cubs have the money, and I will give credit where credit is due. Godfather, you have for 2.5 years, every single fucking day, you've come in here and you have said Ricketts is cheap, this and that, blah blah blah, this, blah blah blah, that. We don't spend money, this and that. 2.5 years ago, there were all kinds of problems with this team organizationally. All right, you took a leap. You've taken steady leaps the last couple years, and now you have provided the fans what I believe is one of the most disappointing seasons of my adult life. It ranks probably just a little bit higher than the 2019 Cubs. Okay, again, my adult life. I turned 18 in 2009.
It's higher than. I was going to say, is it higher than 04?
I mean, 04 had high expectations, and I don't know if it ranks higher than that. But you can put this season and those 2 seasons that we just referenced as probably, at least in this century, the 2 of the most disappointing seasons. Because 2019 had expectations to at least make the playoffs, and 2004 had, like, World Series expectations, and they didn't even make the playoffs.
Nobody's called up to the broadcast booth yet to complain.
So,
that's good.
During
the game.
My point to bring this back around is that you're entering an offseason where, like, not only does Jed have to do something to, I guess, justify Tom and the rest of whoever is caring about the Cubs ownership, the product on the team, whoever in ownership cares about the team, whoever, he has to find a way to justify getting not only a contract extension, but he also has to put this team in the playoffs. He just hasn't. And he's done good things. Like I have said many times, as much as I've shit on him, he has done good things to put the organization in a better spot than when we first sat here 2.5 years ago. Now is the time to open the pocketbook and spend some money. I said that last offseason, but the free agent market wasn't nearly as good. This offseason, the free agent market is very, very fruitful. Whether it's SoDo or not, they should be spending big money this offseason. Yeah. Whether it's Corbin Burns or Max Fried or Juan Soto, Anthony Santander, whoever it is, this organization should be spending massive amounts of money because they have it, because they're charging $16 beers.
Good job,
because they're freaking they charge one of the most expensive experiences in baseball. All right. So again, 2.5 years ago, I get it. You're trying to rebuild from the bottom end, fix your farm system, try to get some young players that you can, help build a nucleus, and then go get the star. We've sat here for months and said that this team doesn't have a star, So I'm not saying it's Juan Soto or bust, but I am saying that there is absolutely no excuse to not, one, go over the luxury tax, and two, to go hang out at the top of the free agent market this offseason. Absolutely no excuse.
Eat like a big dog. One last thing I want to say about the SoDo thing, and that is, yes, the Cubs should do it. And yes, we don't think it's going to happen. We're not teasing anybody in the live chat or anybody that's listening to the podcast or watching on Roku or any of the live YouTube, any of that. If you want to have an impact on this, the way to do it is, everybody's like, stop going to the games. That's been the cry for years. Stop going to the games.
Doesn't happen.
You're never going to get an entire fan base to stop going to the games.
You have to be the White Sox.
But on September 6th at the takeover,
goddamn,
you could all show up with a sign that said, "We want SoDo," and you could chant it every time he came up. And if 500 people is not that many. If 500 people in the bleachers, maybe we should make 500 signs and hand them out to people as they're going in. We want SoDo. And every time he comes up, you chant it. That's the type of, you're almost shaming the franchise into feeling like they better be a part of this. Because if they don't, this is the type of stuff that's going to start happening at games.
Yeah.
It's not disrespect to the players on the field. This guy's he's a generational type player. We want SoDo. Hold up the signs. Every time he comes up, you're going to do it for Rizzo.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to cheer for Rizzo. Why not do it for SoDo every time he comes up to bat?
It's just, it's just all about, like, you set your own standard in 2016, all right? And before they won, they spent money that offseason, right? You signed Jason Hayward, the most coveted position player on the market that offseason going into 2016. You signed Ben Zobrist. You signed John Lackey, right? And the offseason before that, you signed John Lester. Like, you knew that you had developed some young players within your system. You had guys coming, right? You had some things, brewing internally, and you are in this position now. Like, as disappointing as this season has been, it's not like I feel like the team is way behind. They're going to win somewhere between 80 to 85 games and probably miss the playoffs because they don't own a tiebreaker. And so, like, that would be 2 years of just being right in the middle. But you still have, organizationally, you still are pretty healthy. You need to do things to put yourself over the top. So I look forward to doing this rant at least 10 more times.
I wasn't
once a
expecting
month
Cody
in the
rant
offseason.
today.
One last thing about Juan Soto, because
I also have one last thing about Juan Soto.
Okay, I just don't want.
I got one more thing about Soto.
I don't want this to go overlooked. He is quite literally the most perfect hitter
He's amazing.
That you can sculpt into a baseball player.
He's incredible, dude.
He's above average in every single batting thing that you can calculate scientifically in baseball. He's elite in 90% of them. It's unbelievable. The guy has 26. He has
25,
no
actually,
flaws.
still.
Just turned 26.
No, he turns 26 in October.
Oh, okay.
He has
He's
no
25
offensive
for the rest
flaws.
of the year.
None. The only thing that he does that is slightly closer to the average mark than any other hitter is his whiff percentage. He's still in the 65th percentile. Everything else is 95 and above.
Yeah.
It is. You got to be in on him.
This
You got to be in
season,
on him.
this season he's got a 185 WRC plus. That's second in baseball, only behind his teammate Aaron Judge, who's at 225. That's amazing numbers.
Cody's got me fired up.
Looking at his
I'm not
career,
wrong.
his lowest ever WRC plus is 143, which I mentioned Suzuki's, which leads the Cubs among their guys that have hit a certain amount of plate appearances. Suzuki's is 134, which means Juan Soto's worst season is still 9% better than Seiya Suzuki.
What would be the thing you couldn't stomach? I could not stomach if the Dodgers got him. Passon mentions the Dodgers. I could not stomach it. I might have to just stop watching the game.
We'll be hiring a new co-host.
Seriously, if the Dodgers had Ohtani and Soto, no.
Freeman and Betts.
Yeah.
Freeman and Betts.
I mean, come on.
Now,
Ohtani,
Jackson
Soto,
Ferris.
Freeman, Betts. Jackson Ferris, don't forget.
and Zaire Hope too.
He's gonna make us.
Now related to Soto and why? I mean, again, the Cubs have the money, but it's gonna take a lot of money, in my opinion, to lure him away from New York anyway, specifically the Yankees. Yeah. Because Aaron Judge is right there, and you just stated the numbers, and the short porch is a benefit for him, you know?
He could have a beard here.
Yeah, true.
Could grow a beard here.
When has he ever had a?
I don't think he's ever.
Maybe he's into beards. We don't know.
I'm just saying
now
that
he's 20. Now he's turning 26.
You don't want the facial.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that
more mature.
He's in a very, very
Summertime
ideal.
shy.
He's in a very, very ideal situation. If he cares about winning, he's already won a World Series with the Nationals. But if he cares about winning in New York, one of the bigger markets in baseball and sports, whatever, like, we as fans just have to acknowledge that, like, that situation is no one's going to be able to beat that. There's no maybe the Dodgers if that were to actually be serious, but that's it. Like,
it's gonna take money.
It really will come down to if the Cubs somehow, some way got Soto, it would just come down to money.
Well, and again, that's why I say, like, I don't expect them to do that. I'd lean towards they wouldn't do that just based on what he's going to command on the market. What's the offer he turned down from the Nationals? Like 15 years,
445.
440.
15 years, 440, 445.
Yeah, 440 million. So I don't expect, because he's going to get more than that. I don't know if it'll be 15 years. I don't know what the year wise, but as far as like total value, it's going to be more than that. Yeah. Right now, I don't see Jed as the president of baseball operations going and giving that contract to him. As I said earlier, I believe it when I see it. So I'm not sitting here saying that I expect that to happen or I think that's going to happen. Like, it just, if looking at it from me, it should be someone the Cubs should be in on because he's that good.
Yeah.
Well, with the money they save on Drew Smyly, if he gets picked up on waivers, that's all money that can get put right into the fund.
Tucker Barnhart's contract's off the book. Trey Mancini's.
Hendricks.
Potentially Bellinger.
I mean,
like I said,
finally done paying Hayward yet? Are we done paying Hayward now?
They've been.
That's over. Yeah. Oh, that's over now? Okay.
Yeah, I think Bodie's off the books after this year, too.
Bodie off the books.
Like I said, I don't have any hope for Soto, but to me, you have to be players at the top of the free agent market this offseason. You just have to. There's no excuse. Absolutely none.
Just read that stat.
And if they aren't, A, you better win, and B, I'm going to turn into Godfather. If you don't win.
Oh, man, I'm quitting the show if that happens.
Just read the 2 homer stat to Jed. I mean, that's all you need to look at.
And I don't
read the record. Yeah,
I don't.
I mean, he knows. He's said about the slugging and hitting homers. Like, he's not.
That guy might hit.
He knows. It's just he has to go out and do it. And he also knows he has to win next year. So
yeah, and I don't want to be like ridiculously over the top negative about this organization. Like, it's more fun to be a fan of the Cubs or sports or whatever if you're optimistic. I know it sets you up for massive amounts of pain down the road, but it's just more fun to be optimistic. But I just don't want to come into 2025 with just no real excitement about the team. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like if they don't have a big offseason this winter, that we're going to be sitting here in April and we're like, or in March during spring training and saying, oh, well, if this guy does this and if that guy does this, and, you know, like a lot of hope. I don't want to do hope again, man. I've given it a pass the last couple years because, like I said, you're trying to build some things internally. But you're the Cubs, and you've built some things internally, actually really impressively, all right? Now, be the big market team that you are and get a star player. Put your team over the top. Do what you did like when you signed John Lester and when you signed Jason Hayward and Ben Zobrist.
Be a big dog.
Yeah.
Eat with the big dogs.
Let the big dog eat.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, Cubs go for the sweep tomorrow. It's an early game in Pittsburgh, so we will be back here prior to noon, right? Watching the game. What is it, 11:35 start?
11:35 start. So it could be like a 2:15.
Could be like a 2 o'clock postgame show. So, you know, if you're hanging out at work or you still got some free time on your hands, join us for the live show. Otherwise, wait for the podcast later. That's okay, too.
Hendricks versus Skeen, sorry.
Roku. Hendricks, Skeens.
Roku, yeah.
Prediction. Kyle Hendricks, if you only pitch him 4.5 innings, out-duels Paul Skeens.
I don't think you can do 4.5 innings.
Get him out after 4. I'm telling you, get him out after 4. Actually, it's not even get him out after 4. It's just have the next guy ready at the top of the 5th. And if he gets a guy on, Hendricks is out. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Skeens is hittable.
Nico homered on him.
Yeah,
he did.
Boom.
Nico does kind of own him.
Didn't he hit them for the Cubs for like 6 innings?
On my birthday.
On your birthday.
Don't remind me.
He did, but that not this Cubs team. This team's one game over 500.
The offense is playing a lot better than the last time they played the Pirates, or last time that Skeens faced.
You never know. They got to Jared Jones and Mitch Keller.
And
pretty well.
They are. It feels like they're starting to limit Skeens a little bit too, and his strikeout numbers have gone down here in the second half of the season. So
hopefully, he only pitches like 1 inning. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Cubs win big 9-5. It's back to back. They're over the 500 mark, and they go for the sweep tomorrow. Until then, thanks for watching, and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.